Faith, forward when perseverance meets purpose. Have you ever stood at the edge of giving up? That moment when you've tried everything, exhausted every option, and the voice in your head whispers, maybe this isn't meant for me. I recently had the extraordinary privilege of interviewing Tashayanna Young, a visionary whose profound insights on faith, perseverance, and purpose have transformed countless lives across communities that have historically been marginalized. Her wisdom isn't just inspiring, it's revolutionary in how it challenges us to redefine our relationship with struggle and success. What struck me most about our conversation wasn't just her wisdom, but how her words resonated with a truth many of us feel but rarely articulate, that sometimes the greatest act of courage is simply refusing to quit. The path to any meaningful achievement is rarely a straight line. It's a winding road marked by detours, roadblocks, and moments when the destination seems impossibly far away. But as Tasha Yana so powerfully shared, it's precisely in these moments that faith becomes not just a comfort, but a foundation. When everything else fails you, she told me, leaning forward with quiet intensity, faith remains. It's the floor beneath your feet when the world seems to be crumbling. This isn't about blind optimism. It's about something deeper, more substantial. It's about anchoring yourself to something greater than the immediate circumstances. I've been thinking about this conversation for weeks now, about how we navigate those spaces between where we are and where we hope to be, about how we sustain ourselves when the journey stretches longer than we anticipated. The truth is, we live in a culture obsessed with overnight success. We scroll through carefully curated highlight reels on social media. We read the headlines about 30 under 30 lists and billion-dollar valuations. And somewhere in the midst of all that noise, we forget that most meaningful journeys take time. They require patience, persistence, and yes, sometimes a stubborn refusal to accept defeat. Consider the story of Madam C.J. Walker. Born Sarah Breedlove in 1867 to former slaves, orphaned at 7, widowed at 20. The odds were stacked against her in ways most of us can hardly imagine. Poverty, racism, sexism, the systematic exclusion from mainstream markets. But Walker had something powerful, a deep, abiding faith that guided her actions. When she began experiencing hair loss, she didn't just accept it as her fate. She prayed for guidance and, according to her own accounts, received the formula for her hair products in a dream. She began making these products in her kitchen while working as a laundress. What happened next wasn't an overnight miracle, it was the slow, steady work of building something from nothing. She went door to door in Black communities, selling her products. She reinvested her profits to train other Black women as sales agents. She created not just products, but opportunities, economic ladders in communities that had been systematically denied them. By the time of her death in 1919, Walker had built an empire that made her America's first self made female millionaire. But more importantly, she had created economic opportunities for thousands of Black women nationwide. Her legacy continues to inspire entrepreneurs more than a century later. This is what Tasha Yana meant when she spoke about faith as a foundation for perseverance. It's not just about believing things will work out, it's about continuing to work even when you can't yet see how things will unfold. Faith without works is dead, she reminded me during our interview, referencing the biblical passage. You got to put action behind your prayers. Or consider a more contemporary example. Morgan DeBon, co founder of Blavity Inc. While a student at Washington University in St. Louis, Debon noticed something troubling: the lack of representation of Black voices in media, particularly online. Rather than simply lamenting this reality, she decided to change it. But launching a media company focused on amplifying Black voices wasn't easy. Debon faced skepticism about market viability. She struggled with limited resources and funding as a young Black woman entrepreneur entering spaces dominated by non diverse leadership teams. What kept her going? According to Debon herself, it was keeping her purpose driven vision rooted in uplifting community needs, what she describes as keeping God first. She leveraged grassroots marketing strategies and built authentic connections across social platforms, persisting through setbacks and periods of slow growth. Today, Blavity has grown into one of the largest digital media companies for multicultural millennials, reaching millions monthly through news coverage and events like the Afrotech Conference. What began as small gatherings among friends discussing culture and current events evolved into an influential platform powered by collective determination and spiritual grounding. This is the second key insight from my conversation with Tashayanna. Never give up, even when facing setbacks. Success often comes to those who refuse to quit despite difficulties. The difference between those who achieve their dreams and those who don't, she told me with the kind of certainty that comes from lived experience, isn't talent or opportunity or luck. It's persistence. It's getting knocked down 7 times and standing up 8. I've been turning this over in my mind. How many dreams remain unrealized, not because they were impossible, but because someone stopped one attempt too soon? How many world changing ideas never materialized because their creators gave up after the fifth rejection, the 10th setback, the 20th closed door? This brings me to Tabitha Brown, whose journey from chronic illness and struggling actress to social media phenomenon and entrepreneur offers another powerful testament to faith fueled perseverance. Brown endured years of chronic illness that left her unable to work regularly. She faced countless unsuccessful auditions while trying to support her family and her husband's career dreams. The conventional path to success in entertainment seemed permanently closed to her. But Brown refused to give up. She relied heavily on prayer and spiritual affirmation, often saying, "God told me my time was coming." Rather than abandoning her creative aspirations altogether, she pivoted. She began sharing her journey toward health through veganism, infusing her content with humor, warmth, and spiritual wisdom, even when her audience was initially small. When the COVID-19 pandemic hit and traditional acting work dried up completely, Brown's authentic presence on TikTok resonated with millions seeking comfort during uncertain times. She became known as America's Mom, offering not just vegan recipes, but daily doses of encouragement rooted in faith. Today, Brown has book deals, product lines, and talk show appearances. She's been recognized with NAACP Image Awards and is partnered with major brands like Whole Foods and Target. Her 5 million followers across platforms look to her daily for encouragement deeply rooted in spiritual guidance. What's remarkable about Brown's story isn't just her success, but how she's redefined what success means, not compromising her beliefs or self worth along the way, and inspiring countless others to do the same. This brings me to the third powerful insight from my conversation with Tashayanna. Your journey inspires others. By sharing your struggles and triumphs openly, you empower others in your community to keep striving and believing in themselves. Your breakthrough isn't just for you, she emphasized during our interview. Someone else is waiting on the other side of your persistence. Someone else needs to see you push through so they know it's possible for them too. This is perhaps the most profound truth of all. We don't persevere in isolation. Our journeys, especially the difficult parts, the moments of doubt and struggle and near surrender, create maps for others to follow. They become beacons of possibility in communities that have often been told, explicitly or implicitly, to lower their expectations. When Madam C.J. Walker refused to accept the limitations placed on her as a Black woman in post Reconstruction America, she wasn't just changing her own circumstances, she was expanding the imagination of what was possible for countless others. When Morgan DeBaun persisted in building Blavity despite skepticism and limited resources, she wasn't just creating a media platform. She was creating space for voices that had been systematically marginalized. When Tabitha Brown continued to share her journey, even when the audience was small, she wasn't just talking to a camera. She was creating a community of mutual support and encouragement that would eventually reach millions. This is the power of faith fueled perseverance. It transforms not just individual lives, but entire communities. It creates ripples that extend far beyond what we can see or measure. So I challenge you today, what dream have you been holding back on? What vision have you allowed to fade because the path seemed too difficult? What calling have you ignored because the timing never seemed right? Your moment is now. Not tomorrow, not when conditions are perfect, not when you have more resources or support or certainty. Now, identify that one area where you've been tempted to give up that dream, that goal, that relationship, that project that matters deeply to you but seems impossibly far away. Recommit to it, not with blind optimism, but with grounded faith. Write down your goal or prayer each morning. Then take one bold step forward every day, no matter how small. Remember that your journey isn't just about you. Someone else is watching. Someone else needs to see you persist. Your breakthrough might be the very thing that helps someone else believe in their own possibility. As Tashayanna so powerfully reminded me, faith isn't just believing that things will work out, it's continuing to work even when you can't yet see how things will unfold. The path forward isn't always clear. The timeline rarely unfolds as we expect. But when we anchor ourselves in faith, when we refuse to surrender to temporary setbacks, when we remember that our journeys create maps for others to follow, that's when transformation becomes not just possible, but inevitable. Your struggle has meaning. Your persistence matters. And yes, joy follows endurance, not as a distant reward, but as a natural fruit of a life lived with purpose and faith. So I urge you, keep going, not just for yourself, but for all those who will find courage in your courage, strength in your strength, and hope in your refusal to surrender. The world is waiting for what only you can bring.